Hi, everybody. It's me, Quite Contrary Mary, once again. I have a video here that was first submitted 5 months ago, and Undoomed ripped it apart some time ago as well. But seeing that I have a Bachelor's of Science in biology, I thought I'd give it my own good once over.
Oh my god, I just looked at the time and I'm running so behind.
Then what are you doing making a video? I thought I was bad at time management.
So my first thing is let me educate these high IQ white trolls because I get a lot of white trolls on here that want to sit here and say, oh, white people are intellectually superior to black people. And then I also get a lot of comments about racism. So to all of these high IQ white people that don't know the definition of racism, let me just tell you what the definition of racism is. And you know what? I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to put the Merriam and the Webster's dictionary definition of racism so you can know exactly what it is. Racism is not liking white people.
You missed part of that definition. Part of it says racism is poor treatment or violence against people because of their race. And since you said you don't like white people, even though there are a good number of them who have never done anything to you, I think that would fall under the lines of poor treatment. Therefore, you're a racist.
However, if I can say I don't like you, that just means I don't like you. I can be prejudiced, I can be bigoted, but for me to be racist, that's a separate issue. And so it's really interesting that you have all these genius and high IQ white people who don't even know the basic definition of racism.
If you're prejudiced against a particular race, that means you're a racist because racism is prejudice based on race. It's pretty clear that you don't understand the basis of racism.
With every species, this one of the sole most important purposes for that species is to ensure genetic survival, and they do this through procreation.
No duh, it's not like we asexually reproduce.
In order for them to do this, though, the genetics of whatever species it is, it has to be able to survive through the process of natural selection. Now, we don't control that process. This is a process that is designed and controlled by nature. So, we don't need to tamper with it at all. Nature will show you who is genetically superior and who isn't, just based off your own existence. Now,
Actually, what an organism has to do is to be able to reach maturity and then reproduce. There's no such thing as being genetically superior. The only thing is being better adapted to your environment.
white people are not able to do this. And this is just a simple fact. They are not able to do this because at the end of the day, and that doesn't mean that you cannot procreate, that white women cannot get pregnant. That doesn't have anything to do with it. That means that you are not able to ensure the survival of your species. Meaning, if more of you are dying than being born, and it's not because someone is physically killing you off, that means you cannot survive genetically the survival of your species. That means you cannot do that. That's just what that means.
It's kind of convoluted what she's saying, but she's actually referring to replacement rate, which is the birth rate and death rate put together. If it's a ratio higher than 1, of course, that means that people are reproducing at a higher level and population growth will happen. They mainly factor this in with how many children that women are having, so it would have to be 2 in that respect. 2 children for every woman, so 2 kids for every, mating pair. Now, according to the CIA's World Factbook, developed countries have a much lower birth rate than developing countries. In first world countries, the replacement rate is about at 2 children for every woman, but in less developed areas, such as areas in Africa, it's much higher. But there's a reason for that. Women in these areas do not have as much of an education as women in the first world. They leave school more quickly. They get married at a younger age. They start having children at a younger age. And they have more children overall because they don't have the same access to birth control that women in the West do. Women in the West, they go to school, they go and have a career, they go to college, and they have more control over when they get married, when they want to have kids, and how many kids they actually want to have. These disparities have absolutely nothing to do with fitness or biological success, and more to do with social choices that are made in between the West and in less developed countries. This even happens within countries. The birth rate in the United States has been going down over time, especially during recessions. People just don't want to have kids when they're not sure how to make ends meet. According to the Population Reference Bureau, the fertility rate of black women in the United States has been dropping along with everyone else, and they've actually started to catch up with that of white women. Much like in developing countries, ethnic minorities within the United States have less education as well as less access to birth control. They often have children younger, all of that stuff. As time goes on, we might see more African American women going to college and getting careers and all of that good stuff. So the birth rate between African American women and white women within the United States may even get closer. Also, before I get back to the video, you do realize that white people and black people are the same species, right? Species is defined as a group of animals that can breed with each other and have fertile offspring. And humans, regardless of whichever race they're a part of, can come together and have offspring, which in turn can have offspring themselves. A white person and a black person, if they were male and female, of course, would be able to have children, and those children would be able to have children. We're the same species. Did you actually take a biology class, or did you just take a biology textbook and cherry pick the parts that uphold your racist beliefs?
These are just the facts of what you're not able to do. Black people and other races are able to do it. Animals are able to do it. Dogs can do it. Cats can do it. Bugs can do it. White people can't do it.
Well, like I said before, the replacement rate for white people in the United States is at about 2. In this figure, it's around 1.8 or 1.9, which is slightly below replacement rate. But at the same time, that's due to choices that white people, or white women, I should say, have made in our, modern day society. They are, rather than getting married and having children at a young age, they're going to school, they're getting a career, and they're choosing to have children at a later point in time. Whereas for a lot of minority groups, especially like Latino folk, they come into the country and they have more children, and they have them at a younger age. This has all to do with demographics and absolutely nothing to do with genetic fitness.
I'm inclined to believe literally that at this point dogs will outlive white people.
You complain about white people making racist remarks on your channel and your comments, and then you say shit like this? What the fuck is wrong with you?
I need to know, for all you white trolls, how is it that you are intellectually superior, intellectually and otherwise, and yet, despite your intellect and technological medical advances that you stole from Africans and other races of people, but you're saying that they're yours. So let's just say hypothetically they are yours.
It's an interesting thing to assert that black people made all these inventions and medical advances and then not show any evidence to that effect. I mean, these white trolls are supposed to show their facts to you, but you aren't going to do the same? How about you tell us what these white people stole and who exactly did they steal it from? Edward Jenner first conceived of the procedure of inoculation in Europe. Who did he steal it from? Andreas Vesalius was a pivotal figure during the Renaissance and took an empirical hands-on approach to finding out about anatomy. Where did he steal his idea from? Please show me some evidence that these men stole their ideas from Africans.
Why is it that none of this intelligence has been able to make you ensure genetic survival? Why is it that none of your intellectual superiority is able to ensure that you will be existing? Because it doesn't matter how smart you are if you don't exist.
It's simply because white people are choosing to have fewer children. It has nothing to do with white people's ability to have children. There are approximately 1.3 billion white people living on this planet. I don't think we're going anywhere. Also, intelligence is not a trait that is required for an organism to have to reproduce. There are plenty of animals that are not intelligent at all or have no consciousness. and they're able to reproduce just fine. Our species could go the way of that movie Idiocracy, and if they're still able to reach maturity and reproduce, we should be fine. I'm not sure if that's something that anybody would want, though.
You can say that we have kids out of wedlock. Who cares? Your moral system determines whether you have kids out of wedlock. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're wrong. That's a subjective belief based on your spiritual system that you created and want to enforce on everyone else. So you saying somebody having kids out of wedlock is basically a moot point to me. It's meaningless because you only determined that that's wrong based on your flawed belief system, because then you're the same ones that thought slaving and murdering and raping and torturing everyone on the planet, including the planet, was right. So at this point, I don't even care about you saying
that. Raping. That whole wedlock thing you're talking about is a part of Christianity, which is actually starting to die back. I'm not Christian, so I don't really care whether people may have children out of wedlock or not.
And you can sit here and debate and say that you're not dying off, but I can get you a lot of evidence that you are.
Well, we're waiting. And that's about it for me. She starts repeating herself and all of her other points about, how white people are inferior. I don't think any one particular race is superior or inferior to any other. We're all humans, all Homo sapiens, and pretty much the differences between different races is largely superficial. And it is true that white people do burn in the sun without sunscreen. But if you were to go to a higher latitude and stay there for a duration of time and have children there and they don't have the proper supplements of vitamin D, they'd probably get rickets, Cynthia. There's a reason white skin exists. It's for the absorption of UV ray light that can then turn into vitamin D. I invite you to reread your biology textbook. Thank you, and have a good one, everyone.